Welcome to BizTech's Investor Conversation Show. Today we feature Selvarany Rasiah. She's the founder and chief executive officer of KLDX Sdn Bhd in Malaysia, also known as KLDX. Now, prior to founding KLDX, Selvarany held various key roles in Bursa Malaysia Berhad, Malaysia's stock exchange, and including roles such as chief commercial officer and director of regulation. Now, to tell us more about this exciting new exchange, welcome to the show, Rani.
Thank you, Brian. Really glad, to be on the show with you and to share some insights into KLDX this morning.
Now, for a start, Rani, tell us a little bit about KLDX and its history, because obviously this is it's not easy from a regulatory standpoint and the hurdles to get an exchange off the ground.
Right. So KLDX is actually one of the two initial exchange offering platforms registered by the Securities Commission in Malaysia. It is actually a regulated investment and fundraising platform, which is built on blockchain technology. We onboard both issuers that are seeking to raise funds as well as investors and match them, right? So companies raise funds on KLDX through the issuance of security tokens. Security tokens are a digital representation of an underlying real-world asset or financial instrument, such as shares of a private company, debt products, private funds such as BCPE, real estate, intellectual property, just to name a few. So we enable both traditional financial asset as well as non-traditional financial asset to be used for fundraising. So at KLDX, we actually take a very inclusive approach and facilitate a broad range of businesses, right? So in that way, investors will have the opportunity to actually invest into a broad range of private market assets. Now, private market assets are assets other than those which are listed on a public exchange, such as Bursa Malaysia. We launched our platform in April of this year, right, after procuring the approval from the Securities Commission. So please visit us at www.kldx.com, where there's lots of information and you can learn more about our platform.
Now, I want to talk to you about the people behind this. Yourself, you're the founder. You have key team members who are, well, very well known in the capital market space. But share with us who constitutes your team and who's really backing this venture?
Okay, so KLDX was essentially founded by me, right? After having served more than 25 years in various roles at the Bursa Malaysia, the last, of course, as Chief Commercial Officer of the exchange. Now, we have in place a very experienced board and a strong management team comprising of individuals with significant experience, right, in areas such as capital markets, technology, business development, product development, market regulation, marketing, and sales, right? And further details of this can obviously be found on our website, right? And we do have private corporates as our investors. And we obviously have been in discussion with institutional investors, and we'll soon be looking to onboard institutional investors as well into the company.
Okay. This is a new initiative, this is a new exchange. How is this different? What are the gaps that you're trying to address in the market?
Right. Through my years of, being at Bursa Malaysia, right, I developed a very in-depth knowledge, right, of capital markets, how they operate, as well as, the corporate landscape. And I noticed, two distinct but related, issues, right? One is the funding gap for startups, growth stage companies, and project financing. The regulators put this funding gap in Malaysia at 90 billion, right, for SMEs as at the year 2022. Now, you would agree that that is actually a very huge addressable market. Absolutely. So through KLDX, we aim to address in part that funding gap. Now, on the other hand, what I did also see is a lack of access that investors had to private market assets. Now, typically, these are, asset classes that are only available to institutional investors and very high net worth individuals, given the very large investment that is required, right, for these assets. Now, private market assets, as I mentioned, are actually assets which are, not listed on Bursa. And these could be shares of, private companies, it could be private debt, VCPE, as well as, real estate, collectibles, etc. Now, these assets obviously have the potential for higher returns. And through KLDX, right, we seek to bring to these assets to investors at large in affordable sizes.
So, and this is a very important thing. I mean, I think your mandate is, I think your tagline is around democratizing investing. And a lot of times these private market deals, the minimum ticket size could be, as much as 250,000 US to 500,000. So what sort of ticket size are you looking at to make it more accessible to individuals?
So the ticket size would really depend essentially, right, on the nature of the product and also determined, by the issuer in terms of the profile of investors that they wish to attract. But typically, what we are looking at is, perhaps from 1,000 ringgit onwards, being the size of investment into these asset classes. So
Okay.
that obviously opens up the opportunity to a broad range of investors to actually invest.
Now, you're regulated under Securities Commission of Malaysia rules. Could you give us an insight into the screening and selection process for the companies that you are looking to have on your exchanges?
Okay, right. So, I mean, for companies that we are looking to actually, bring onto our exchange, right? There are several steps that is actually undertaken by us, right? So, firstly, we actively source for investment opportunities using our very seasoned capital market experts and networks, right? And then we look for very strong positive signals for companies, guided by our quantitative and qualitative listing assessment framework. Now, once we determine that the business is actually a good fit for our platform, we then kick off the formal due diligence process, right? And provided that all the criteria is met and is approved by the listing committee, then we will list the product on our platform for subscription by investors, right? Now, so as part of the process, right, there's evaluation of the company's industry, technology, the competitive landscape, financials. We also look at regulatory compliance and check the company's adherence to securities regulations, the AML, KYC requirements, and other legal obligations. Quality assessments are conducted to determine the project's potential for success, considering factors such as market demand, innovation, scalability, competitive advantages. So given the significance of governance, obviously we look at the corporate governance structure, accountability, as well as investor protection elements, right? So through this process, right, KLDX obviously aims to select promising companies, promising projects that have the potential to deliver value to investors. And this sort of process actually helps to mitigate risk, maintain the platform's integrity, and enhance investors' confidence in projects that are actually listed on the platform.
Given the stellar team that you've assembled in KLDX, I think and also all your relationships with the regulator from, as you said, decades of working in this space, from an individual investor standpoint, there is a comfort level. But can I ask you then, in these early stages, because you're a new exchange, are you going to be overly strict and perhaps then a lot of entrepreneurs will not be able to get on the platform because, well, your first few deals are going to make or break you?
Yeah. So it's always a balance, right? When you look at bringing products to the market, right? So from our perspective, we take a very balanced approach, right? We do not have a crystal ball to determine, what is the future of the company, right? But we will naturally, look to bringing quality assets to the marketplace. And I believe that the yardsticks that we use, right, to assess this company, will be no different, right, from that which investors will eventually use, right, to assess whether it's an investable product. And those are the factors which I had mentioned to you earlier on. We actually, focus a lot on disclosure. We seek to ensure that the white paper that is issued by the issuer does have adequate and relevant information for informed investments, and that has been the subject of due diligence. So at the end of the day, it is obviously for the investors, right, to understand what they are investing into, and then, make an informed investment decision.
Okay, Rani, if I'm a tech entrepreneur, and let's put a scenario together. I've got various options in terms of fundraising. And let's use the assumption that I'm raising between 3 to 5 million US dollars. Now, at 3 to 5 million, I have the opportunity then to go and look at the venture capital or private equity, depending on the type of investment I would fit me better. I could go the equity crowdfunding route. I could go I may take a mixture of debt via a peer-to-peer platform, an equity crowdfunding route, or I could perhaps even qualify for Leap Market. Why would I choose you? What is your differentiator that will make me go towards KLDX?
Okay. So actually, if to answer this, I think, we really need to look at the funding continuum in Malaysia, right? So if you are a company that is looking to raise funds today and you're looking at a public platform, okay, then what you have in place on the one hand is Bursa Malaysia, which is really, for, mature companies that are profitable, right? And then on the other hand, you've got the ECF and P2P. So, in the middle, right, where you're looking at growth stage companies that are looking to scale up, that are looking to raise larger sums of money, there's indeed a gap, right? There isn't, a platform that can facilitate, the larger fundraising. So as you are aware, right, on this platform, companies can raise actually, up to 100 million, 20 times shareholders funds, or up to 100 million. So it is really addressing, the need for companies, that are actually at the growth stage and that want to scale up and want to actually raise, higher amounts. That's one. The other, the platform actually also enables, right, the use of a broad range of asset classes to raise funds. So if you look at a public market like Bursa, it is shares, right? If you look at ECF, it is typically shares, and P2P is debt. Whereas on an IO platform, right, a tech company has got, the option of a broader range, right, of asset classes. They can even actually use their intellectual property, right, as an asset to raise funds, right? That's one. The other is the fact that, what do you call this? You can, do custom structures, right? So, you could do hybrids of, equity and debt, or you could just do pure profit sharing. So there's lots more options, right, that is actually available when you come to a platform like ours. And the other is, right, it augurs well, right, for a technology company to also raise funds on a blockchain-driven platform, right? Because
of course,
but what we are doing through this KLDX is actually bringing innovation to the capital markets, right? This is the first time that blockchain is actually going to be used for fundraising and investment in the capital market. So as a tech company coming onto a platform like this, right, it then obviously serves to further reinforce, right, the innovation mindset that the entrepreneur behind the company has. And through the platform, you will have access to a broader range of investors, right? As you know, platforms reach a broader range. And in this respect, institutional, high net worth, angel, retail, both domestic as well as international.
So how are you going to do that? And that's a very important, as a new exchange, the key thing is around, if you have a wide reach of investors, as you just said, local,
yes,
domestic and foreign as well,
yes,
that's going to have liquidity. That's going to help you in terms of, and that's a key problem that a lot of the equity crowdfunding platforms have. It's how do I get out of this investment? I may be sitting on unrealized gains, but I can't actually monetize that. How are you going to market your exchange across the broader investment community?
So I think at the end of the day, right, to be successful, we need strategic partners, we need to collaborate, right? There's some things which we'll do on our own, right? So we have very strong digital marketing to familiarize and reach out to a broad range of investors. We are web-based. At the same time, we actually also, work with, strategic partners. And through the strategic partners, obviously, investors get to know us and they actually, look towards, participating on our platform. And, given, the team that we have, right, which has got broad networks, there is also the ability to reach out and promote the products to institutional investors. So it is not a single thing that you do, Brian. It's actually a combination of steps that you would take. But it is very important, right, to have the right team that understands what investors want, how investors behave. So the customer journey, customer experience is actually very important. And we focus on providing, excellent customer experience. And at the end of the day, the success will also be dependent on the quality of the products that you bring, right? Sort of investor protection, because you see, investment platforms are actually about trust and confidence. So we focus a lot in not only ensuring that we bring quality products through the processes that we have, but also in ensuring that, people who invest, through our platform are accorded the adequate level of, investor protection.
Now, Rani, then key question, $1 million question. What is the cost of listing on KLDX versus other options?
Okay. I mean, at the outset, right, I would say that, every mode of financing, right, has got its advantages and disadvantages, right? So it depends on who we are being compared with, right? But we are naturally, a lot more efficient because being on blockchain and digitized processes, right? We have actually streamlined and automated processes, right? And we deal with the end-to-end needs of anyone that's raising funds, not just the fundraising end, but also in terms of life cycle management of the product. So as a result of which, I would say that, given the amounts which are actually sought to be raised, right? We obviously are very, very cost competitive, right? We are naturally much lower cost in terms of when compared to the public markets, such as Bursa, right? And when you compare us, to any other similar platform, right? It may not be a fair comparison, right? Because of the features that are different and the amounts that are sought to be raised, which may be different. But I would say that when you look at the amount that is sought to be raised, right, and the value that we bring, we are very competitively priced.
And what I understand is also, and this is the value add that you bring to the table as well, say compared to other types of platforms like ECF platforms, you bring advisory services as part of your overall offering, isn't it? To really help companies structure the right things for them.
Yes, that's correct, right? We have a suite of, professional advisors, right? In our ecosystem. And they, together with us, obviously, right, would be able to guide the companies in terms of, their fundraising needs, right? So companies that come onto the platform have the ability to engage the services of these advisors, who will then obviously, structure the products as well as, go through the due diligence process in preparing the white paper. So to that extent, right, and of course, the platform, as a platform, we also undertake the marketing for them. So to that extent, when you raise funds on KLDX, right, as an entrepreneur, right, you can actually alleviate the burden of doing a lot of things on your own, right? Rely on the services that are being provided by the platform, which then enables you to focus on your business and at the same time raise funds successfully.
So Rani, here, this is interesting, right? Because essentially what you're doing, because again, you're rethinking how things work, you're providing at the platform some of the services which in fact, traditionally, if you went the Bursa, the listed company role on the stock exchange like Bursa Malaysia, I would actually have to get an investment banker to do some of the services that you're doing.
Yeah, so admittedly, right, it is a different method of fundraising, right? So it's not on all fours with what you see in terms of an IPO, right? So we are different from a traditional fundraising platform. And to be clear, right, these services, right, some of these services are not provided by us, but it's actually being provided by our panel advisors, right, who actually obviously are a lot more competent, right, than us, right, to be able to actually provide these services to the companies.
Rani, this all sounds fantastic, something that's needed in the market, because one of the key things that you said really resonates in terms of what we have discussions on all the time, the funding gap in Malaysia, where there is adequate funding at the seed, pre-seed, up to Series A, but then from a Series B and Series C onwards, there's a funding gap in the market. And that's where I see very clearly that you will be able to address across different industries. Now, looking ahead, you're new, you launched in April. What's 2023, 2024 looking like for you? What are some key targets and milestones you're looking to achieve? What types of companies do you have in the pipeline?
Right. So we do have, an interesting, cohort of companies, right, which we are working on to bring to the market, and we target to actually list, our first product possibly in the third quarter of this year. And at this juncture, and even moving forward, right, we obviously have been undertaking and will continue to undertake a lot of market awareness programs, right, to familiarize our platform to businesses as well as investors. So we have a lot of information available on our website. So we'll invite investors to get onto our platform to learn more about our platform. And by opening an account with us, right, you will also be kept informed of future events as well as upcoming products. For businesses, obviously, they can actually get in touch with us by filling in a form, and we will actually revert back to them and assess their suitability to come onto the platform. So that sort of engagement is an ongoing thing. And we also have got, certain entities, right, that actually have approached us to do events, so which obviously, opens up the avenue for broader outreach, right, to the business community, right, that is looking to raise funds. Now, product innovation is obviously a very important and focused area for us. So we will continue to work with businesses and intermediaries to bring more innovative products to the market, potential for higher returns. We also look to building strategic partnerships. We have built some and will continue to do that, which can be mutually beneficial, both domestic as well as, global partners. And given the significance of, cyber and security measures and investor protection, that will always be an area that we will, will monitor very closely and ensure that, we continue to provide, adequate security measures and investor protection. And, the name of the game, right, in the capital markets is actually continuous evolvement and innovation. So to that extent, our platform obviously will continue to evolve and will continue to introduce, new functionalities, improve the customer experience, as well as ensure that, we are meeting the needs and demands, right, of investors as well as businesses.
Rani, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. I've learned a lot, and I wish you all the best with KLDX.
So, Brian, just before I end, I'd just like to, express my appreciation to the Securities Commission in Malaysia, right, for its very proactive stance in, in issuing the digital asset guidelines, which has enabled the operations of the initial exchange offering platform, right. So it makes a huge difference when the platform is regulated, as it actually provides, a lot of confidence, not just to investors, but also businesses. And I think that is actually a very key enabler, right, for the growth of this segment in the Malaysian capital market.
Rani, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Brian, for this opportunity this morning. I truly enjoyed the conversation with you.
Thank you. I enjoyed it too. We've been speaking to KLDX founder and CEO, Selvarany Rasiah. I'm Brian Fernandez, and we've been on BizTech's Investor Conversation Show. This interview will be on our website, www.biztech.asia, as well as our syndication partners, TV stations, radio stations, and websites. Thanks a lot for tuning in.